When they built those homes on my land, everyone said I was crazy not to stop them. My lawyer called me a fool. My brother called me weak. Even the construction foreman, a man I'd never met before, looked me straight in the eye and said, "Sir, once these walls go up, there's no turning back." But I didn't say a word. I just watched the dust rise, the hammers fall, and 96 homes rise from the soil that had been in my family for 3 generations. Because I knew something they didn't, I still had the deed. And when the time came, I wasn't going to tear those homes down. I was going to tear their pride apart in court. It started 3 years ago, in a small town outside of Austin, Texas. The kind of place where everyone waves from their porch, and rumors travel faster than the wind. My father left me the land, 84 acres of green fields, oak trees, and a creek that shimmered like glass in the morning sun. To me, it wasn't just land. It was legacy. Every fence post, every patch of grass had a memory buried in it. I grew up chasing dragonflies there, building tree houses with my dad, and later watching him grow old and weak beneath that same oak tree he'd planted with his bare hands. After he passed, I moved back from Houston to take care of the property. It wasn't much of a life, just me, the quiet, and the wind through the trees. Until one morning, I woke to the sound of heavy engines rumbling down the dirt road. When I stepped outside, I saw bulldozers, trucks, and men in neon vests setting up stakes in the ground. My ground! I ran out, shouting, waving my arms, demanding to know what they were doing. A tall man in a white helmet approached me with a clipboard and a polite smile that didn't reach his eyes. "Morning, sir," he said. "We're breaking ground for the Pine Ridge Estates. You might want to stay clear of the site." I told him this was my site, that my name, Daniel Clay, was on the deed. But he just blinked, adjusted his glasses, and said, "No, sir. The land now belongs to the Pine Ridge Homeowners Association. You'll have to take that up with them." That day, I drove 2 hours to the county office, clutching my deed like it was the last piece of my father I had left. The clerk flipped through a stack of papers, squinting at the computer. Then she frowned. "That's odd," she said. "It says here you sold the land last year." "I never sold a damn thing," she shrugged helplessly. "Then someone forged your signature. But the title's been transferred and cleared." I remember standing there dizzy, my heart pounding. I tried calling the HOA, the developer, even the bank. No one cared. Every door I knocked on led to another closed one. Lawyers told me the fight wasn't worth it, that the developers had deep pockets and powerful friends. "You'll lose everything, Daniel," one of them warned. "They'll bury you in paperwork before you ever see a courtroom." So I stopped fighting. I let them build. I watched every truck come and go, every wall rise, every family move in. People thought I'd lost my mind. But in truth, I was waiting, because while they were busy building their dream community, I was digging into the past. I found records, tax slips, notarized forms, and emails that didn't match. I hired a private investigator who discovered that one of the signatures used to sell my land had come from a man who died 6 months before the sale. That was the crack I needed. By the time the HOA finished construction, with playgrounds, picket fences, and manicured lawns, I had my case airtight. 96 homes stood tall on my land, all worth millions combined, and not a single one of them legally belonged there. When I finally walked into that courtroom, everyone turned to look at me, the crazy man who'd let an entire neighborhood be built on stolen ground. The HOA's lawyer smirked, confident, smug. They thought it was over before it began. But when I stood before the judge and pulled out the original deed, the one signed and notarized by my father himself, stamped with a seal older than half the lawyers in that room, the silence was thick enough to drown in. The judge read it once, then twice. Then he looked up and said 6 words that changed everything. This land was never legally sold. The courtroom erupted. The HOA's lawyers started shouting, flipping through their files. The judge banged his gavel until the noise died down. And then, with a tone colder than stone, he said, "Every property built on this land stands on invalid ownership. They tried to settle. They begged, they threatened, they called me heartless." But I didn't flinch. I gave them one choice: buy the land back from me at full market value, or vacate. Within months, those who could afford it paid me millions. The rest walked away. leaving behind homes that now legally belong to me. I didn't destroy those homes. I didn't throw anyone out into the street overnight. I worked out fair deals, helped the families who'd been tricked by the same fraud that tried to ruin me. But I made sure every single person involved in stealing my land, from the developers to the crooked notary, faced the law. And when the dust finally settled, I stood again beneath that old oak tree, the same one my father planted. Only this time I wasn't angry. I wasn't broken. I was proud. Because my father once told me, "Son, land is just dirt until you defend it with heart." I finally understood what he meant. Years later, people still drive through Pine Ridge, or what's now called Clay Estates. They see the homes, the families, the laughter. But what they don't see is the battle behind it. The quiet fight of one man who refused to let greed bury his legacy. And if you're listening right now, remember this. Sometimes the best revenge isn't tearing things down. It's standing so firm that the ones who tried to break you end up building your victory for you. Because that's what I did. I let them finish construction, and then I pulled the deed out in court.